I'm so sorry that I just remembered now. Adonai's not here, Michelle's not here, and I have a big reminder that says record, and I forgot. I was just swept away by all of your wonderful destinations to go to. So for those just tuning in to the recording, all of these updates are repeated from last month. And we have a review process that is underway for the tax credit. Amazing job supporting businesses. We received applications from all but one OTA region. Amazing work. Grant is almost 80% done, and those grantee spreadsheets will be updated 10/25. Okay. Apologies, guys. All right. So consortium meeting follow-up. Who was able to attend that consortium meeting? I believe that was Friday. Okay. Yeah. We saw a good number of folks there. If you didn't attend, it was recorded. The recording is not up yet. We're putting it onto YouTube. It takes a little while for accessibility reasons. But yeah, that is available for you guys to watch when it's up. You'll get that notification because you guys are all on the consortium email listserv. For those who were there, any questions about the meeting? We had a pretty exciting set of presentations from businesses who did receive tax credits, and they talked very frankly about their experiences. Perdita.
I just had a really simple question. It seemed like there were maybe one or two that didn't actually get a chance to speak directly. Will there be an opportunity for them maybe to? It was phenomenal. It was just I thought that was incredibly rich. It was super diverse, different experiences, different businesses, different regions. So it was really incredible to have that, to hear that. But I know that there was at least one person I think who didn't get a chance to, and I was just wondering if there was a plan for giving another opportunity.
Great question. And yes, that was one of the more unfortunate parts of the of the meeting is, yeah, the first two kind of took a longer time to talk. And I didn't do much to speed them along. So my time management was pretty poor, and that made it so it was a pretty rushed presentation from the back half of the group. So, and yes, Silverton Grocery did not present. We will ask them if they want to present at another meeting. Currently, though, what we have lined up for the next consortium meeting, which we're planning for January, is a presentation from the Office of Economic Development and International Trade. So this is the idea here, is to expose our consortium members to other tax credits that they could get, maybe for the purchase of a building, etc. There are a lot of opportunities through the Minority Business Office that we want to help folks know about. So the next quarterly meeting we're planning to have be kind of an OEdit sharing out day, which we hope is, yeah, something that folks want to tune into. And of course, you guys would all be welcome to attend that. And then, yeah, maybe we can ask the thing, Perdita, about the one business that didn't present, they actually have not yet filed their taxes yet. Like, they just received their certificate in the last review period. So as sad as I am that they didn't have time to present, maybe you're right. Like, if we give them the opportunity to present at a later date, they'll actually have that full experience of working with DOR, because as as you know, that was a pretty significant portion of the presentations from a lot of these folks. So, yeah, but it was a bummer that we didn't have more time to get into everybody's stories in the way that I know everyone wanted to share. So,
Sounds like that might work out perfectly, though.
could you say that one more time, Pradia?
Oh, I said that just sounds like that might work out perfectly, though, if they haven't actually gone through the full process.
Yeah. So, yeah, if this was, I mean, I felt like it was a really helpful session. Maybe this is something that we stick in as a regular meeting that we have maybe once a year. Like, here's my experience with either the equipment tax credit or the consortium tax credit. Um, my hope is that folks feel like they can reach out to those other members of the consortium or pose questions to the Google group. Um, kind of, yeah, help foster an environment of, peer to peer learning. Any other questions or comments about the consortium meeting?
Well, I wanted to be there. I wasn't there and I could watch the recording, but I would love to hear any yeah, I mean, any highlights or what kind of the gist of it was from the retailers.
Yeah. Let me, you know what? Let me pull up um the little presentation and we can kind of go. All right, give me just 1 second. All right. So can you guys see this again? Okay. So we had the presenters answer all of these questions. So, tell us about your business, the equipment, the outcomes, who are your customers, how do you talk about your Leela population? And then tell us what your thoughts are on the process of applying, receiving your certificate through us, filing your taxes and receiving your credit through DOR. And then what was hardest about the whole process and what advice would you give to others? I was really impressed if people felt, most people shared the value of their credit, which I think is really impactful because some of these people got big credits. And I think for those listening on the call who have not really been encouraged to apply, I think hearing like, oh, whoa, you got $85,000 in a tax credit. That might be worth my time. And then would you do it again? So we did have a good mix of like good, seamless, flawless experiences. I'll say that Simple Foods was probably, I mean, he was like, this was so easy for me. IAVA was the greatest. And so yeah, TA providers got a lot of big shout outs in these presentations, which was also really fun to hear. So things went really smoothly for him and filing went really, really well. But yeah, not everybody had those experiences. Simpson's local market in Trinidad, she talked mostly about the difficulties she had filing. And we all learned a lot, including myself. And she talked about being an LLC and the difficulties with, um, yeah, how to, I mean, it's a tax credit that passes through to the owners and then they have to give that money back to the business. So she talked about having agreements in place to ensure that, um, yeah, that money actually does come back. With Here and Now and Parasana, these were our two farmers who presented. They really talked about telling their story, showing their impact, utilizing technical assistance. And both of them, a theme here, both of them really talked about the strain of carrying that expense in the time between they buy their equipment and they actually get their credit. Unfortunately, we ran out of time and Silverton Grocery had to leave before she could present. Podunk Ranch, Linnea talked about a strategy that I thought was kind of smart. She tested out this whole tax credit thing with something she knew she could afford. She bought this road sign. It cost $800, and she got a small tax credit on it. But it kind of helped her know the process, know what it would be like, and then she resubmitted for a big purchase the following year, which I thought was a cool strategy. Because there, as you all know, we have a large pool of money. This wouldn't be the best strategy if it was, we didn't have much money, and because you do fall to the end of the list if you've received a tax credit before. But because we're not really at risk at this time of running out of money for this, I thought this was really smart and worth sharing with folks. And then you guys may recognize this picture because it's on the cover page of our tax credit application. This is from Lyman Stop and Shop. This owner actually owns another store in Stratton. This is out on the Eastern Plains. And you can see this is their old produce case. This is their new one. And they really just they had such a good, this is such a textbook case of like, we're able to display, we went from 2 racks to 5. We're displaying so much more. It's more energy efficient. We've increased our profits by 19%. So yeah, it's just a really cut and dry textbook example of what we're looking for. And these are in low income, low access areas of the Eastern Plains. So anyone else have takeaways that they want to share with Jay or others who weren't able to attend of course you can watch the reporting and learn a lot more, but that's kind of some high level themes.
I'm also curious, like I'm curious how many of these retailers had TA support?
Yeah. Well, Simple Foods, of course. Simpsons didn't really discuss having TA support. I believe that our TA providers down there did like let them know about it, but I don't know the extent to which they utilize TA support. Laurel from Here and Now did talk about the technical assistance she utilized. I was kind of surprised that James / Aaron didn't give Lauren much of a shout out because you should watch the recording, Lauren. I was kind of waiting for him to say, yeah, Lauren was really helpful. What he did say was that he had gotten a grant and that they used a lot of that same language, but I didn't really hear him specifically call you out, even though I knew. Silverton, Lauren had a bunch of, Lauren was helpful here and here, I believe. And then these guys haven't talked about anyone helping them. I think their rural development office told them about the opportunity, but they were they kind of did this on their own.
Well, and then I'm curious too about, some people said it was really easy and it was really worth it. And then I'm curious if the challenges are in the reporting, because I know one of the challenges Aiva's been bumping into is just the retailer or the applicant having the right documentation, it being legible, and like having all that detailed stuff. And is that hard for people, or has that just been hard for a couple of folks she's been working with?
Gosh, I mean, yeah, I'd have to like look back and before I could give you more firm numbers on this percentage of people, we have to go back and ask for more legibility. What I will say is a lot of folks struggle with what we're asking for with the proof of payment. Proof of purchase is pretty cut and dry for a lot of folks, but often there's like, oh, well, we're missing one piece of information on what you submitted. But I would say it's fairly common for us to need to go back and say, we don't see the bank name on the proof of payment, or we don't see the account holder name on the proof of payment. So I don't know if that answers your question. With legibility, that's not super common that we can't read it. But I know it has been common with folks that IAVA's been helping with.
Yeah, and I'm just like curious of like what's been the hardest part for all of these folks. And is there anything kind of showing up like rising to the top like, oh, this is hard, so we can know that and approach it, with trying to like
Yeah,
overcome whatever that particular barrier seems to be across the board.
you know. I would say by and large, folks have repeated what you guys have repeated to us. You guys have told us, which is the hardest part is buying it. The hardest part is if I'm financing it, paying for it every single month until I get that credit. That's the hardest part, I would say, for the farmers that spoke up in this session and from folks I've talked to, you know, who've received this credit. But then I would say the main takeaway, hardest part was working with DOR to actually get the credit, which there was a lot of good discussion about that. I think people sharing their experiences is so valuable. Things to kind of, keep in mind. If I were someone who had not applied yet, it would be like, okay, that is something I am writing down and circling. People were given great tips, like just walk to the closest Department of Revenue office. That was Laurel's advice. There's an office in Fort Collins, I think, and she's like, I wish I had just walked in instead of doing this back and forth. Simpson's, had some advice like just getting the contact information for one person at DOR instead of, I mean, you guys have had this customer service experience where you need to get something settled and you end up re-explaining the situation to multiple people. So it's sort of like little tips like that. And not everyone said they had difficulties with DOR, but I would say that in my understanding of this, a lot of people were like, yeah, it was not hard to get the credit. We have a case. We knew we were going to get it. It was just hard to actually receive it from DOR, which is tough. But yeah. Any other comments or discussion about the consortium meeting? Okay. Cool.
Mickey,
Well,
I just had a question slash thought going off of what Jay just mentioned, but I was thinking more about your question, Jay, and I know I would really benefit from kind of like a similar thing that Mickey you did after the first round of grants of kind of analyzing like how that first round went, those like most common mistakes people made, what were the most common things people applied for. I think maybe that was part of it. Um, and it would be really interesting to see that after the first full year of the tax credit being available. So like at the end of 2025, some kind of like debrief, even just for like us, the outreach and TA providers.
Mm. Okay, most common mistakes, full debrief, most commonly awarded equipment. Okay, yeah. That's a good idea for a future TA meeting. Again, though, we can only speak to our half of this, not the DOR half. So, but yeah, happy to do that. Okay. Thanks for that, you guys. So yeah, with our remaining time, I would love if, and this doesn't have to be a really polished discussion or presentation, but I would just love to hear from you guys about what you feel your biggest success story has been in this whole contract, whether it's a grantee, or a tax credit applicant, or someone who hasn't applied for anything yet, but you've made a lot of inroads with. So yeah, I don't know if any region, and you can share multiple success stories. I know, especially with Denver Metro, you're all working on you all have a full caseload basically. So I'd love to hear from each of you. But yeah, does anybody wanna start?
I'm happy to start. Oh, do you want to go, Jay?
Okay, I'll go. One of the things that's been great, and this is kind of really, maybe unique to us because of the other work we do, but like I love having this opportunity for retailers and farm stands and farmers because this is like a foot in the door for us to like offer to them and then offer the other things that we do. And this has enabled and given me an excuse to really map where are all the locally owned grocery stores and where are all the farm stands and where are the gaps. And that is just like, and for our region, like that's a really big deal. And now we're able to start looking at addressing the communities that have no access at all. Like Costilla County had no grocery store for a year. And so this has just been really great. And then obviously like Simple Foods is a great example. Like they got $84,000 back. And then that is also woke me up to because they purchased that store, and that's why they got so much. They purchased the business, that's why they got so much back, is because they just made this huge purchase. That just really made me realize what starting a new store or buying a business, how impactful this tax credit could be for those entities. And so really approaching it now, like I've been saying, we are working on the coffee shops, corner stores, and other cafes that are already selling snacks and drinks and whatever. And I'm like, you've got the fridge, sell some bread and eggs and produce, and you could qualify for this. So anyway, I just, this is just such an excellent opportunity for our region to benefit and to like really create more food access and to give us a reason to go talk to all these folks. I just really, it's such a good fit.
Mm. Also, I mean, it's so cool that you guys have Valley roots that, I think sometimes it's like, it's a different thing for, a TA provider in a different region to say, hey, you've got the snacks, just sell bread and eggs and produce. But like to be able to actually provide them with a distributor to do that is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree with you. Simple Foods is such a, yeah, that, I mean, they just did so well with getting a tax credit, and the timing was so great. And Aiva's help was so invaluable. It really did. In Ian's presentation, it was really clear how much she she did. Do you feel like, yeah, I'm curious with these coffee shops and cafes, um, any little nuggets for other TA providers on how you've been able to kind of build this relationship and this trust with them? And
Well, yeah, what I will say also is a lot of people, when we reached out, what, a year and a half ago or something, I don't know how long we've been doing this, were not ready to hear it. They're like, ah, but I got an email, a reply to an email I sent a year ago.
oh,
That business was like, hey, I'm ready to talk to you about this now. And so that is this other thing, like, just because we are available and the money is there right now, these businesses are like busy running their business, not the right time to be thinking about buying equipment. And so, like, yeah, I just am realizing their timeline and time frames are so much different than what I wanted them to be. And so it's this very long game. And especially if you're looking at making $40,000 purchases or something, like that's a huge deal for these. And I'm dealing with very small businesses, that, they're just not ready. They're going to be ready in their own time. And so to kind of just and Aiva's really good about this. And I would also say that, like, it's tremendous that, like, because I work on multiple projects, but she is primarily just doing the CDA outreach, and just having her so dedicated to this project in particular makes a big difference. It would be really hard. Like, I'm having a hard time doing much of this work because I've got all these other things to do. But so having her, like, 85% of her time is just CDA outreach and tax, TA
yeah.
with this. But yeah, people are, and we've just been constantly on them, and she makes her rounds and she does phone calls and emails about every quarter to really remind people this is available. And she was really disappointed there for, I don't know, 6, 8 months. Like, nobody's getting back to me. Nobody's taking advantage of this. I bug them and I bug them, but, like, it's coming back around. It just takes a while for those entities to be ready. So that, I think that was a big thing that I just learned, and that I want other people to recognize is, yeah, it may seem like nobody's interested, but eventually they'll need to replace something, and it's just not on our timeline.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that, Jay. I was talking to someone and weighing the benefits, the pros, cons, grant versus tax credit. And I think we all agree a grant is so much more optimal for these businesses in so many ways. But at least with this tax credit, we have the benefit of time. We're not under pressure to get all the money out the door. And that's such a that's such a win for businesses. And, like, filing away, they can't jump on it now, but they can have it in the back of their mind, and they could maybe use it as planning for business planning for the future. So cool to hear people replying to an email you sent a year ago.
Yeah. And I do think that for anyone trying to make a big purchase, like, there's really a lot of strategy involved. And okay, how am I going to pay for this right now? And, we've got our our slow money org that loans money. But they're on I think, I don't know how often they're distributing those loans, but that's months of writing that application, going through their review board. And, yeah, this is it can be a long process for somebody, to really make that initial purchase, and then do all of this. And it's hard to, yeah, float that debt or that whatever for a year and a half, until you pay your taxes the next year. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right, you pay your taxes, and then many months could go by before you get your return.
mhm. But
Thank you.
I think having a few of these success stories really highlighted is going to make a big difference for the next round of people who are really skeptical about it, and I think too, the language we use is important, and tax credit totally goes over people's heads and sounds
Yeah.
gross and unpleasant, and nobody wants to talk about it. So, I try to talk about it as a reimbursement and different things, and like just really encouraging folks to take a look. And I think, yeah, having a few people that have really done well in our region is going to make a big difference.
So cool. Thank you, Jay. Anyone else want to share a success story?
I would love to share a success story that I think about a lot from our region, related to the Silverton grocery store, who I guess was supposed to present at the consortium meeting and didn't have time to. So I can speak to a little bit about my experience in engaging with them. And I'm trying to like boil down what the like exact successes and impacts of working with them and getting them them getting a tax credit are. And I think one, they are also, I feel like, a great example of meeting the goal of this program to a T, like increasing access to healthy food in a low income, low access community. They're in a low income, low access community because they're the only grocery store in San Juan County. The next closest like box city market type grocery store is almost a 100-mile round trip drive over like several mountain passes that close in the wintertime. It's a whole thing. They were up for sale a couple of years ago, and there was a huge sticker price for their business and very real risk of like losing that one and only grocery store. And so from the beginning, that grocery store has been like a big priority of ours to connect with, build a relationship with, and offer support to, because we didn't have a relationship with them beforehand. And it took like, I was trying to do the math in my head. I think it took like 2.5 years for us to build that trust with them, which I think led to them applying for the tax credit and receiving it. And so to Jay's point, there was a lot of work put into this that I don't even think they realize. But there were several attempts, several different strategies to try to connect with them, build trust with them, initially so that they would apply for a grant. That didn't happen in either round. And then finally, early this year, we tried another strategy, which was roping in someone that they knew and trusted in the community, who just happens to be the mayor of Silverton. The mayor requested a meeting with the grocery store owner, and then kind of like on the side was like, oh, and then this person is going to join us to like learn more about your business and maybe share some resources that could help you. And so I sat in on a very, very long meeting. It was like hours and hours, where I wasn't really talking at all, just listening, and trying to like build that trust bridge, I guess. And towards the end, when I was able to connect some of the things that they had talked about, some of the problems they were experiencing with the tax credit and some other resources, that was like, yeah, everything just fell into place. They applied for the tax credit, they got it. They have new produce, like refrigerated produce display cases and a new POS system, which they had already purchased before they even knew about the tax credit. And I've talked to residents in that community, and people are like really excited about the quality of the produce and how much it's improved. So people are shopping. It seems like people are shopping there more often and more excited to buy fresh produce. And then like one of the ripple effects is that they got really interested in um, offering double up food bucks through the produce bonus program, and have been working with Nourish Colorado to like get that online. And I've been like trying to kind of like nurture that relationship. So recently there was a webinar, Mickey, I think you were actually on it, hosted by Kansas State about how to do local procurement as like a rural grocery store. And I sent it to them and I was like, hey, just in case you're interested, thought of you, because they don't currently do really any local procurement at all, but that's certainly a request from people that live in the community. And yeah, I saw them on the webinar and I was like, that's so cool. Maybe they'll start offering local produce now. So yeah, several, I feel like ripple effects. And I think that's probably like our Southwest Colorado's biggest success story so far with the tax credit.
Wow, Lauren, thank you for sharing that. Um, Thanks, Taylor. Yeah, I think a huge takeaway there is like, yeah, whatever time you need to build that trust, like those are billable hours. I think and this is why that strategic planning was so important to us. Like if you identify something that's a really good fit and you're kind of hitting a wall with, uh, they're not like I'm trying and they're not replying, like we would rather support you in continuing to try with those businesses that are good fits than to shift your priorities to a business that's not really a good fit. So love hearing about how you kind of changed tack a few times and just were like ever present until they were ready. And now it sounds like once you gain their trust, they trust you and they're trusting you on produce bonus and local procurement. And gosh, what an in that it's so cool to hear about. Um and yeah, even if it's like stopping by, picking up your groceries from that retailer once a week, you know, spending time chatting about whatever, hearing their issues, whether they're related to equipment purchases or not, all of that can be really valuable in the trust building piece. Um, and kind of like Jay said, at some point they're probably going to need to replace something or make a big purchase. So kind of, yeah, that exposure seems like such a valuable part of this work. So cool. Thank you for sharing. Any others who would like to share a success story? Go ahead, Perdita.
I could just talk about our event last night. So obviously, if Monique was here, she would be able to talk about several of the businesses that she supported that have applied for tax credits and have gotten them. We've kind of, not totally officially, but there's a way in which we've sort of divvied up. Um, I'm really focused on smaller folks, but in specifically farmers and the smaller farmers. And Monique has, been doing a little bit more with like Millburgers and Musos and Gaglianos and, the larger scale. Um, but we had our vendor meeting last night from the farmers market, and it was so incredibly well attended. And I got to present about the tax program at that event. And I've been like every time I'm at the market, I'm like talking about it to everybody. I've handed out the flyers multiple times that we've made. And then, and I would say the same thing kind of began to happen last night, where, there's a few people that have definitely, like Jordan Cattle, that I've had some inroads, Diamond, but nothing has actually occurred with them. But then last night, and Windchime Farms, I've been talking to Windchime Farms for 2 years, or whatever, year and a half. And last night he was like, "Oh, I could get display cases." Mm-hmm. So I last night I felt like several people I think are going to follow up on this now. And it really has taken that amount of time, that amount of repeated exposure, the like the trust building, the piece of like, oh, you're not just trying to sell me some snake oil, there's really an opportunity here. And so I was very excited because I do feel like now and I got to present in front of this whole group. I also got to talk about the, CSPBP, the produce bonus program, because I'm doing that at the farmers market. And so I think we made some kind of step, and I'm appreciating all the conversation because it's a lot of input that is not visible. It's sort of like pregnancy or something, right? Where there's all this time and nobody knows, but there's all these stuff happening underground. And then the thing that Lauren was saying, I like the idea. I don't know if we can take the presentation or the recording that you're gonna send, but if there was even just like a small video made, right, of that, like of those, if we could then use that, I just think that would be phenomenal, because again, it's that next level of like, here we are, we're building trust with you, but here are the people who have applied and have gotten it and are talking about it. So
Thank you for sharing that, Perdita. And yeah, thanks for just repeatedly bringing this up, with these good fit businesses at all of your opportunities. And yes, one big request of us at the last monthly meeting, you guys may remember, is could we do an information session like this for the public? Yes, it's time for that. So we're planning to do that once we can kind of come up for air after reviewing and issuing all the certificates. That's when we're going to shift into, we're tentatively planning for like the first week of December, which I know isn't ideal because that only gives people like a month to apply, but just trying to juggle all of the priorities. But yes, we are, yeah, we're really thinking a lot more seriously about what other materials can we make. I know we talked like over a full year ago about making a video. So yeah, we're kind of opening up that discussion again. The reason why that was put on pause is, as you know, this program has changed a lot. Like the rules change, and it's challenging with a video to make it evergreen. So that's something we're struggling with a little bit, but we need to figure out because, yeah, it's clearly a helpful tool that would be useful for you guys. And we also need to be thinking about what happens when we lose you guys. Like what can we build now that you guys can help us share in the next year before we're on our own. So thank you. Okay, so video of those successful tax credit awards is what I'm hearing. And let me read this chat. Sorry, I am reading chat. 1 minute video of a few success stories could be really helpful for people who are on the one video for each farmers market, farm stand, farmer, grocer. I like this idea. Farmers market, farm stand, farmer, grocer. Okay. Cool.
And Mickey, I do like that what's gonna happen, yeah, at the end of 26 when we are no longer funded by you guys to do this work. That might be an interesting conversation to start like beginning of next year for us to help you guys. Like, how can we all help each other prepare for that? Because I don't want to stop doing this work. You know what like we probably won't, but I know other folks like just can't do it without that financial support. But like, yeah, what I would love to have the conversation. What can we set up and put in place so people still get told about this opportunity? And yeah, I don't know what that looks like yet, but I would love to strategize that with this group.
I agree. And I think the way I'm thinking about it now is like I know we have our flyers, but putting a lot more into a promotion strategy and thinking through what tools we need to create, whether it's a better flyer or, yeah, these videos you brought up, like a quick Q&A video, whatever it is. Yeah, running it. I mean, we want heavy input from you guys as people that have been doing this work for over 2 years now.
And
So yeah, hopefully, go ahead.
I'm having this this idea of like, if you guys could make all the promotional material that we could use, and I know you kind of have,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like, just so you guys are really producing social media posts, email, things that we can include in our monthly newsletter that we can just push out to social media. So it's like, no, or, and all that stuff. So, but you guys like provide a whole bunch of stuff that directs everybody to y'all.
Mhm.
That's like one little thing. And like, yeah, some videos. If you guys provide the marketing material that you can feed us, I would imagine a bunch of these orgs on here could just push that stuff out periodically. And that
Yeah.
is like a place to start.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for this. And Perdita, thanks for bringing that up. I know we should totally have, we should all be walking down the red carpet, Barbara. Like, this should be a documentary that goes to Sundance. Okay. Any other success stories that folks want to share? Lucy.
Sí, buenas tardes. Creo que una de las historias de éxito que yo he mirado es precisamente la confianza que se ha generado y que se ha ganado en los comercios latinos. Aunque ahorita hay muchas expectativas y están un poco renuentes a aplicar para el crédito porque no saben realmente cómo funciona, aunque uno lo explique, ellos están pensando en la gran inversión que pueden hacer para tener el equipo. Eso no quiere decir que no sea importante el continuar haciendo este trabajo, el de seguirles explicando y sobre todo, creo que esas historias que están contando, esos videos que queremos ver, de ver que personas que ya hicieron sus impuestos y que les dieron ese crédito, creo que eso va a ser muy validado para las personas, puede crear esa confianza que se necesita para que ellos puedan aplicar. Entonces, ahorita yo estoy trabajando con algunas tiendas en explicarles, en decirles, en darles la información. Yo estoy con la esperanza de que ellos puedan hacer esas compras para poder aplicar para ese crédito. Y si quizá ya no es este año por cómo está la economía, que han bajado sus ventas, que ahorita tienen incertidumbre de qué es lo que va a pasar, probablemente empezando el año sea algo que podamos ver, ya que se puedan ajustar un poco las cosas, pero ahorita sí es, al principio es cuestión de mucho trabajo, de generar esa confianza, de que ellos realmente se sientan cómodos con la información que están recibiendo y el nosotras estar dispuestas a estar insistiendo con ellos en la manera de darles la información, de darles el tiempo que necesitan para que ellos puedan decidir esto. Entonces, creo que para mí eso ha sido muy importante, todo el aprendizaje que he tenido y pues sobre todo la oportunidad que nos han dado de poder hacer esto y más en mi idioma. Eso es lo que más valoro. Muchas gracias.
Mhm. Thank you, Lucy. And yeah, it's such a good point reiterated that trust takes time. And yeah, I do feel so fortunate that we've been able to have this contract for, you know, over 2 years. But yeah, some trust with folks takes more time. And yeah, it's just thinking about like, is this contract long enough to build trust with some businesses who could be some of um, the best fits for this program? So, yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I hear you too that, yeah, that these stories, it would be great to have them in video form so that you guys can have that to share out. Let me ask this, is because you're all on the newsletter, we've started to share um impact stories through our newsletter, and we have highlighted, like we highlighted Trey, Ford, and Lyman in the past. Is that something is that a helpful thing to, have with you, or is the video format the best one? We could collect all those written stories with pictures in one spot for you if that's helpful.
I would say both.
Okay. Okay. Lucy, go ahead.
Sí, creo que así como dijo Loren, creo que ambas está bien, pero siento que los videos las personas los pueden ver mejor porque pueden estar haciendo cosas y pueden estar escuchando. Muchas veces es difícil sentarse para leer todo un boletín.
Mm,
Sin embargo, un video es fácil, es algo que pueden tener y lo pueden ver cuantas veces quieran. Escuchar un poquito, le ponen pausa, van y hacen cosas, regresan, lo vuelven a poner. Entonces creo que eso es mucho más fácil y que se complementa, se complementa, no, se hace más pequeño cuando está realmente dirigido el objetivo, y creo que eso hace más impacto. Entonces, creo que por los 2, pero más por el video.
mm. Okay, thank you. Thank you guys so much. This is so helpful. All right. Anyone else want to share a success story?
I just wanted to mention that Nemo did the video of Edward's meats and stuff,
Hmm.
and she did such an amazing job of that. And then we're going to try to connect with the Jasmine Market, which is all the Muslim community there, and ask them about doing a social media promo on them. And then Hallie had a discussion with me that was so interesting about, because I work with Jeffco Eats and 30 food pantries for the schools and stuff. And that market is really close to like Lastly Elementary.
Mm,
So she said, what if we asked them to do a coupon and give it out at the school? Because what Jasmine told us is like the only people that are going to their shop are Muslims.
mm,
And so he has a very diverse amount types of foods there. But Nemo and I haven't asked him yet about doing the social media thing. But is anybody else doing like social media as an entree and then this coupon thing, like Hallie said? I think it's interesting.
mm. Like you're almost doing social media for the store to help them get
Abs-
customers. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Because again, the things they don't have, like
Mhm.
Nemo did a fantastic job. It was like so real. I felt like I was at the store. So, those are very impactful. I mean, people, like as much as I do social media for Jeffco Eats, the pantry I started, whenever you do a video, I mean, it's like so much more impactful
Mm,
and flatline newsletter. But I mean, you can take written stuff and then put pictures in it and sound over on it too. But I think there's a lot of potential to just promoting different stores and then again trying to link them into a school where, like Section 8, not Section 8, Title 1 schools, a lot of times 90% of the kids are food insecure.
Mhm.
So to connect with the school and then this coupon thing, I just thought it was a great idea.
Yeah. Tell me more about this video. Nemo, I'm not sure we've seen it.
Yeah, if you just go to our Instagram for the Food Policy Council, it's Jeffco Food Policy on Instagram. It's
Okay.
that pretty much that first or second post. There's like the first picture is the sky, like in the evening. It looks really beautiful in the storefront. Uh,
Mm.
and so, yeah, you can just scroll through that carousel. When I went to visit, usually when I go to visit most of these stores, I will just um, kind of take like a video walk through a little bit or get some pictures um, of their space. Just try to make, like highlight the best parts of the business. And then I put together a sheet for each store when I go to visit that just says like how the Food Policy Council supports small retailers because there's a couple other things that, we want to do to support them, both as a part of this work and a little bit outside of this work too. And so I just have like a clear sheet kind of detailing all the things that we can do to support them. And one of those is like social media features and newsletter features. And so, yeah, so I took some videos and pictures and some of the stores like the one that I did for the one that Barbara's talking about for Edwards, they had some photos already like of their team, some cute stuff from events and things that they've done. And so the manager sent me over some of those, but the video walkthrough I think is what Barbara is really talking about. Because I think too a lot of these small stores you don't when people don't know what they're walking into, they might not walk into it. And so seeing what it looks like, as you enter and walk through, um, my hope is it can really help people like realize like, oh wow, this is like fully a
Yeah.
grocery store. It's not just especially for Edwards because they're marketed as like a butcher shop and they are, it's a lot of meat, but they also have a lot of other stuff as well. So yeah. Yeah.
This is so cool. I mean, right, like talk about trust building. Your organization is promoting their business in a public way. Like you're basically doing advertising for them. Like that, yeah. I mean, that's just really cool for us to hear about the suite of services you're offering. And how, yeah, like if they see an impact from that or this coupon idea takes off and that's really successful for them, how much more likely they are to reach out to you
Mhm.
for help with the tax credit.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of people lean into taking up that offer, no questions asked. When I ask if they want us to feature them in their newsletter or do Instagram posts, like all of them have said, "Oh yeah, absolutely," and so that's just a really easy way to really show through an action that we do want to support them.
Mm, that's a really good idea, especially for TA providers who maybe struggled to find a way in. Um, yeah, that's a really cool thing
I
that you
think
guys offer.
I think if you add the flavor too, we talked about this, like different parts of the world that these stores represent.
Mm,
Like even around Christmas time, people get kind of nostalgic and stuff.
mm,
So if you presented these markets that, one's a um, Middle Eastern market and another one's in, a Italian market or what, Indian market, all the different countries that
mhm.
it's kind of like taking a trip and like we talked about visiting countries. Well, some people can't go on visits to countries, but if you show these different countries in these different markets, it's almost make me cry because I grew up on that after I traveled around the world. I just go to all these different markets and it's so fun and it's
Mm,
like taking a trip. So
yeah.
if you put different parts of the world in these social media things too, like it's just fun.
Mm, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks for that. So cool. And also speaks to like, I mean, yeah, how different this work is in the Denver metro area than the San Luis Valley or in the Southwest, where, yeah, I mean, there's just one store in Silverton and it's 100 miles round trip to get to the next grocery store, but yeah, so it's really cool to hear you guys talk about how you're you're doing this work in a different way in a very different place. So yeah, Lauren.
Um, I have a question for Mickey and for the group that's a little bit off topic, so we could table this, or if this is not the right place, let me know. But Dolores from the Colorado Blueprint and Hunger, now Provecho Collective, let me and some of the other people on the call know that the USDA is proposing a rule change to SNAP for retailers, which would increase the minimum number of varieties and perishable foods that retailers would need to have to maintain their SNAP authorization. And that would directly affect, if this rule were to go into effect, that would directly affect, I'm guessing, a lot of the small retailers that we work with. And so some of us are gathering tomorrow afternoon to talk about potential impacts of that rule and then come up with like a collective strategy to address it, maybe through public comment, maybe something else. And Mickey, I'm curious if this is like the right place for me, like even for me to just like gather input on what those impacts might be on retailers that everyone interacts with. And I can at least like take that information and bring it to the meeting tomorrow to share with the rest of the group.
Yeah. So is this meeting tomorrow or is it today?
Oh, it's today, actually. You're right.
It's today. Yeah. Um, right. So this is very topical. I think I sent this out in a meeting follow-up last month because this announcement came out while we were meeting in September. And yeah, is going to be a big deal, especially for rural grocery stores that don't have a distributor. So, yeah, we at CDA are definitely talking about the possibility. I mean, it's a process I'm learning more about, but if the governor's office is in favor of the state making a comment, we may comment. But I am happy to talk about like yeah, what I have heard those impacts would be from real businesses. And if anyone else wants to share in that, yeah, feel free to bring it up with Lauren. Or I mean, I see no reason why they couldn't be invited to this meeting on this afternoon. So yeah, any initial thoughts on that announcement to increase the stocking requirements in order to become SNAP authorized?
I did not know about this. And I don't know much about what I'm about to say, but our farmers market manager said that also at the end of 2026, farmers markets will no longer be able to take SNAP on behalf of the whole market, that each individual farmer is going to have to do it, which is, and then that makes me wonder, does something like this also affect them? I don't know. So yeah, there's this wild stuff that we're also trying to gear up for and be prepared to start transitioning our farmers, like our farmers, to be taking SNAP and double up.
Yeah, so I don't think that's really related to this, but yes, it is something that has been a discussion and, is the double up food bucks slash EHIP, Colorado Produce Bonus Program, it's like, yeah, there have been these discussions that everything wants to transition to farmers being the SNAP authorized entities, not. And it's been a conversation for a while. However, to become SNAP authorized as a farm stand, you do not need to meet the store's minimum stocking requirements. So this that we're discussing now, I don't believe would have an impact, but I need to read more about that. But yeah, a whole separate topic that was, discussions that have been happening well before this current administration came into office about like shifting things more towards the farmers being the SNAP authorized entities. That meeting is at 3 p.m. today. Is that right, Lauren? Yeah. So I don't think that Dolores would have any issue with us inviting a few folks. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I feel like everyone in this group should definitely come to the meeting if you're able and if you have thoughts. To be honest, I haven't been able to think about this that much. I've just been very busy, but now that my attention has been drawn to it, I feel like the biggest impact that I'm seeing of this proposed rule change is that there would be a higher inventory burden on our like small rural grocery stores. And I mean, honestly, if they can't meet those higher inventory requirements, could just lose SNAP authorization and not like no longer be able to offer SNAP and also then double up food bucks or the produce bonus program, which would have really negative impacts on healthy food access in our region.
Yeah, and some of these businesses, like 50% of their sales are SNAP. So, if they can't meet those stocking requirements, there goes 50% of their sales. That store is going to close. So, is it really promoting making America healthy again? Any other comments on this with the 2 minutes we have left? I do just want to say that I did share this on September 30th in the meeting with the recording. So just make sure you read those emails from me. I know I send a lot of emails, but I know you guys are busy with tons of other things. But yes, we did this. And also Erica Way shared it in the chat while we were meeting in September. So yeah, I do my best to kind of share relevant things. I know I'm often forwarding things, but in follow-up meetings, I try to keep it succinct to just things that I think are really relevant to this work. So anyway, just putting that out there. I don't think there's anything else I have to say. Thanks for this meeting today. And thanks for bringing up this meeting this afternoon, Lauren. I'll see some of you guys later.
Thanks all.
All right.
Thank you.
Gracias. Gracias, Andrea.
And Mickey, maybe after this
Hasta luego.
3 o'clock meeting today, there will be like more of a call to action
Yeah.
that can be communicated out with this group. That might be like easier for people to